What's going on, everybody? I am Winston Marshall, aka the Swaggy Blerd, and this is the Blerd Breakdown, the pop culture show that tells you exactly what had happened was. Either way, y'all, thank you so much for tuning in for this third episode. I'm sorry it's coming out. I guess this is super early. This is, I've been dealing with some stuff, and I do apologize for the tardiness on that, but you're going to get, this is essentially the Thursday show. You're getting first thing in the morning here on Friday, and then I'll have one later today. Though the Friday show is actually going to be just a reaction to crazy internet videos. So if there's anything that you see out there, please be sure to follow me on all of the social platforms, man. You can shoot it to me. If you see it on IG, you can tag me in it and stuff like that. If you see it on Twitter, same thing. Tag me on the post. I'll take a look at it, and if it's something that's kind of funny or dope, I'll definitely be sure to put it on that Friday show. Other than that, man, if you are new here, if it's your first time, we just hit 3,000 subscribers, a little over 3,000 subscribers, and we're on our drive to 5,000 now. So with that, if you haven't already, please be sure to hit that subscribe button, man. It would mean the world to me. Hit the notification bell and give this video a thumbs up, a like, if you ultimately end up enjoying what is going on here. And I've got a pretty good show for you today, so I definitely think that you will enjoy it. Now, as good as this show is going to be, nothing is honestly going to top the show that Kendrick Lamar put on Juneteenth on Wednesday. It was called the Pop Out. It was Ken and Friends, and he had all sorts of LA-based artists coming out to come and rep the West Coast, man, and really just kind of stick it to his longtime nemesis and hated enemy, Drake, his op, man. But that's not just it. The pettiness that lives inside this man's body knows no bounds. So before I even show anything, AP reported on this, the Associated Press. Not content with merely taking a victory lap after winning his battle against fellow rap superstar Drake, Kendrick Lamar turned his Juneteenth pop-out concert at the Forum into a cathartic live stream celebration of Los Angeles unity. Lamar curated a 3-hour concert featuring a mix-up of up-and-coming LA rappers and stars, including Tyler, the Creator, Steve Lacy, and YG. It's his turn to take the stage. The 37-year-old rapper powered through a set with black hippie collaborators Schoolboy Q, Ab-Soul, and J-Rock. Performed his Drake diss songs Euphoria and 616 in LA, and then was joined on stage by Dr. Dre. The two West Coast Titans performed Still DRE and California Love, and Dre called Lamar one of the greatest to ever do it before quieting the roaring crowd by requesting a moment of silence. It was a misdirect. He then delivered the 6 Sense quote that opens up Lamar's chart-topping Not Like Us. I see dead people. And at that point, all hell broke loose. A crowd of 17,000 that included The Weeknd, LeBron James, Ayo Edebiri, and Rick Ross rapped along to every word of the biting but jubilant DJ Mustard production, which Lamar restarted twice after the first verse and performed 4 times in full. Shuffling, frolicking, dancing, and spinning around him as Lamar strode the stage in a red hoodie were NBA stars Russell Westbrook and DeMar DeRozan, DJ Mustard himself, rapper Roddy Ricch, and even a teenage dance troupe led by the crumping innovator Tommy the Clown. Lamar reveled in the moment. Y'all ain't gonna let nobody disrespect the West Coast. Y'all ain't gonna let nobody imitate our legends, huh? He said, referring to Drake's use of an AI tool to mimic Tupac's voice on one of his diss records. He also added a line to Euphoria referencing Drake's purchase of Tupac's jewelry. Give me Tupac ring back and I might give you a little respect. But the Condom native had more on his mind, calling to specific men and women to join him on stage for a group photo. Let the world see this, he said. You ain't seen this many sections on one stage, keeping it together and having peace. For all of us to be on the stage together, unity from Eastside, LA, Crips, Bloods, Pyru, this is special, man. We put this together just for y'all. This ain't got nothing to do with no song at this point, ain't got nothing to do with no back and forth records. It's got everything to do with this moment right here. That's what this was about, to bring us all together. After the final song, Lamar exited saying, I promise you this won't be the last of us. The stabbing horns and Not Like Us instrumental kicked in once again, and the crowd rapped the lyrics without Lamar as they filled through the hallways of out to the parking lot. The Twitch and Prime Video live stream concluded. Man, this was probably the best show that I have seen from a digital standpoint. I can't imagine what that show was like in person. I hate the fact that Ticketmaster, being the piece of shit that it is, you had a situation where bots once again bought up a bunch of tickets for resellers, and what was $75 and maybe $100 for you know, like general admission and or nosebleed seats were skyrocketing from anywhere from like $300 to like $1,700. And so it just didn't become, you know, a very financially sound idea to try and secure a ticket when those tickets were getting jacked up like that. But watching it was absolutely incredible. And honestly, being able to see this and just watch the glee that was happening from like what Russell Westbrook, like, look at this shit.
Hey man, I'm the one that up the walking down whole time. I know he got some pull on him, extort shit, bullies up on him.
Like, my nigga was just out there having the time of his life. I saw a bunch of people saying shit like, bro, I haven't even seen Russell be that happy playing basketball. Like, that was the happiest thing I'd ever seen Russell Westbrook, to be honest with you, and I kind of have to agree. And it wasn't just that. The production value on this was absolutely insane. The fact that they cut on the WAPs like you were like essentially getting a bunch of different like hits, literally, like if you were watching like an anime or something like that, just like the like you would see like say Cell and Goku going and they're like flashing left and right. Look at this shit right here.
Why you trolling like a bitch? Ain't you trying to strike a chord?
They not like us. They not like us. They not like us. Freaky ass nigga, he is 69 God. Look, man, I gotta say, shouts out to Kendrick for a number of different reasons, man. First of all, the fact that you actually did bring the West Coast together like this, that's absolutely crazy. Second of all, we started to have a really serious conversation about hip hop and the state of hip hop, to not only see that lyricism isn't gone and it isn't all just mumble rap, to see that, you know, there are still like pure lyricists and artistry and stuff that's kind of coming out of hip hop, to have a serious conversation about culture vultures. If you want to know more of what I'm talking about, please go check out the video I did about the rap beef, and I covered some of that. I did cover some of the bad sides of the rap beef as well, but I did cover what the whole idea of like a culture vulture and what is accepting people in and expanding out and sharing the art together, and what is people just kind of taking in order for their own profit or their own well-being or everything else like that, and not actually appreciating the artistry and the people that brought them to it and all that kind of stuff. So all of that was absolutely fantastic. But the other thing I saw, for those that are familiar, was Ed Tabani. He does Freestyle the News. You know, he was mentioning the idea of how the internet really has solidified into one giant mesh pool. Like, we're all just Spotify numbers. We're all just Apple Music numbers. You know, it's all just kind of in a giant whatever. And at the same time, it feels very isolated. It's not necessarily a situation like we're all just kind of numbers in an algorithm. We're not necessarily like a collective group. And tribalism can be dangerous for sure. Like, that's how you end up in all the fights that you get in like politics nowadays and things like that, and how aggressive shit has gotten. Like, tribalism can definitely be dangerous, but there is something about a sense of community, a sense of a community that you grew up in, whether that be the actual region that you're from. Like, you know, there's a lot of like cultural pride being from the West Coast. There's a lot of cultural pride being from the South, being from Texas, from the ATL, all that kind of stuff. There's cultural pride being a New Yorker, you know, things like that. That's not a bad thing to associate with a tribe. It's just if your tribe becomes aggressive, violent, cutting off to other folks, that's when things become a little bit of a problem. But what Kendrick actually showed with the show, what I think is amazing, is he just reminded us that we can come together despite our differences and unite against our haters. Just are the person that we're hating on, man. You know what I'm saying? People were joking that this was not just Gangchella, this was Hatechella. You know what I'm saying? I think probably my favorite tweet out of all of this, and this is controversial as shit, somebody said, "God damn, the city of LA got to a ceasefire quicker than Israel did." I was like, oh shit, nigga, you can't. So I just absolutely crazy. And it's like Kendrick said, if Pyrus and Crips all got along, they probably gunned him down at the end of the song. I'm glad nobody did gun him down, but I am glad that he was able to bring everyone together, man. It was an absolute incredible thing to see. So shit. So one more time for you, suckers. Fuck him up. I'ma do my thug.
Why you calling like a bitch? Ain't you trying to strike a chord?
Probably a minor. All right, y'all, on to the next story. This one was huge. Talking about LA and the West Coast, man. The Lakers have come to a multi-year deal with former player JJ Redick to be the next head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. They've agreed to a 4-year contract with JJ Redick. This comes to us from Woj from ESPN. Lakers have agreed to a 4-year contract with JJ Redick to make him the franchise's next coach, said sources told ESPN on Thursday. Redick, an ESPN NBA analyst who played 15 years in the league, met the Lakers vice president and general manager Rob Pelinka and owner Jeannie Buss over the weekend, and conversations on the vacancy continued throughout the week, sources said. Pelinka offered Redick the job Thursday morning, sources said. Pelinka became sold on Redick's ability to connect with players and his basketball IQ, and believes surrounding Redick with an elite coaching staff will help shorten his learning curve into his first coaching job, sources said. Redick moved into the forefront of the search a week ago after the Lakers' pursuit of Connecticut coach Dan Hurley was ultimately rebuffed. Lakers offered Hurley a 6-year, $70 million contract that he turned down early last week, sources said. As Pelinka sought with Hurley, he still wants a teaching coach and staff who will prioritize the development of young players such as Max Christie, Austin Reeves, and Ryu Hachimura, and can design a creative approach to featuring Anthony Davis on both ends of the floor, sources said. Redick has a strong relationship with the Lakers star LeBron James, with whom he co-hosts a basketball podcast. Okay. I have a lot of thoughts about this in particular. I am a big JJ Redick fan. That's absolutely for sure. I do have issues with this hiring, not because I don't want to see him go be great and take that next journey. I mean, I love what Jason Kidd has been doing and what he was able to do to get, my Mavs to the finals. Hopefully we will be able to get over that hump as that next step. And there have been a lot of great players turned coaches. Phil Jackson's ass out here in these streets, player turned coach, one of the greatest coaches of all time. It's not even close. Pat Riley, which Pat, he coached for a little bit and then just was more about being an exec and all that, but he's done incredible things in his tenure and all that. So this is not something new. Where I have a problem, there's obviously another story going on in this offseason in that LeBron James' son, Bronny James, is declared for the draft. He's coming out of USC. Bronny had some health issues. He ended up having a heart attack and was out for a bit and eventually came back and was averaging about 4 points a game and some other stuff. And again, because he's playing limited time, he was trying to recover from such a traumatic physical ailment. Now, I think if Bronny had more time to develop, that I think Bronny could genuinely be, I don't think he'll ever be his dad. He doesn't have his dad's physicality and stature, but it's clear that he does have his dad's work ethic. So I do think that Bronny would be like a solid player in the NBA, maybe a couple-time All-Star. I don't know if he'll become a Hall of Famer, but I think that with that work ethic and having his dad as a mentor, obviously, I think he could at least get to the level of making 1 or 2 All-Star games in the course of his career. But all that being said, he needs time to develop. And what this really feels like to me is a rush to get Bronny out into the league because LeBron has said the one thing he really wants to do is play with his son. All of that being said, if you have not only for your head coach, one of your really, really good friends who you co-host a podcast with, but then also somebody that even though they respect each other, he's a first-time coach. It really feels like this is kind of put in a way to allow LeBron to just kind of do whatever. And I hope that's not the case. I hope that this doesn't ruin their friendship, and I hope it gives an opportunity for that LeBron will actually listen to JJ. That's something that, like, when the coach says something, that LeBron listens. And that doesn't mean LeBron doesn't have great instincts himself and blah, blah, blah. But there's just something about this that just feels off. There's like knowing that the Lakers are not solid right now. They have a lot of shit they got to sort the fuck out because they were getting embarrassed throughout the year, and then they get to the playoffs and they get embarrassedly bounced right out of them. So, like, it just seems like a dangerous move to do that. Let alone, I want to see JJ thrive in this arena. If he ends up in a situation where, because this isn't a good idea, it might leave a stain on him. Because, like, I also didn't like the favoritism that comes out of that. I look back to Jeff Saturday, who was put in as the interim coach for the Colts for a minute there, and he had not done any coaching. I want to say they had said something along the lines that he had maybe coached a high school team for like a season or something, but he had not really been a coach yet. He was Hall of Fame, one of the greatest centers of all time, paired with Peyton Manning all those years, like a champion, all that stuff. Mad respect for Jeff Saturday. And again, I think given time to develop himself as a coach and to get that resume up, would have been the dude. But if you're thrown in the deep end before you know how to swim, sometimes you get lucky and you're able to doggy paddle that shit, and sometimes you drown. And I really don't want to see that happen with JJ Redick. And I also don't want to see JJ and LeBron's relationship get ruined over this. That genuinely worries me. But yeah, with that being said, with both the Kendrick story, because I didn't mention this before, and with this, man, what are your thoughts on it? How are you feeling about it? Did you enjoy the concert? Do you like this hire? Where are you at? Let me know how you feeling, man. On to some sadder news. Yesterday, on Thursday, Donald Sutherland, one of the great actors of our time, died. He was a towering actor, very, very tall. His career spanned M.A.S.H. to the Hunger Games, and he died at 88 years old. Coming from Jack Coyle from the Associated Press, Donald Sutherland, the Canadian actor whose wry, arrestingly off-kilter screen presence spanning more than half a century of films from M.A.S.H. to the Hunger Games, has died at 88. Sutherland died Thursday in Miami after a long illness, according to a statement from CAA, the creative artist agency which represented him. Kiefer Sutherland said on X he believes his father was one of the most important actors in the history of film, never daunted by a role, good, bad, or ugly. He loved what he did, and he did what he loved, and no one could ask for more than that. The tall and gaunt Sutherland, who flashed a grin that could be sweet or diabolical, was known for offbeat characters like Hawkeye Pierce in Robert Altman's M.A.S.H., the hippie tank commander in Kelly's Heroes, and the stoned professor in Animal House. Donald was a giant, not only physically, but as a talent, Sutherland's M.A.S.H. co-star Elliot Gould said in a statement to the Associated Press as many paid tribute. He was also enormously kind and generous. Before transitioning to a long career as a respected character actor, Sutherland epitomizes the unpredictable anti-establishment cinema of the 1970s. He never stopped working, appearing in nearly 200 films and series. Over the decades, Sutherland showed his range in more buttoned-down but still eccentric roles in Robert Redford's Ordinary People, Oliver Stone's JFK, and more recently starred in the Hunger Games films. In his final years, the non-stop actor mused about dying on screen for real. I'm really hoping that in some movie I'm doing, I die. But I die, me, Donald. And they'll be able to use my funeral and the coffin, Sutherland told the AP. That would be absolutely ideal. I would love that. What's crazy about that, man, is like, I definitely know Donald Sutherland. I'm more familiar with Kiefer in the sense that, like, I think my immediate connection was the show 24. I fucking love 24 growing up, man. One of my favorite movies is a small movie starring Kiefer Sutherland's voice and Colin Farrell called Phone Booth. Fantastic movie. But Donald I am definitely familiar with from M.A.S.H., from the Hunger Games, all that. Incredibly talented actor. Did not know he had done 200 plus films and series. That's crazy. That's him and Samuel L. Jackson are the only two people I know that work that damn much, man. If you go look at both of their credits on IMDb, it's absolutely insane. But it's sad. It's sad anytime, you know, someone's time ends. But at the same time, he lived a fantastic life. He lived a career that people dream of. Though he never won an Oscar, he was awarded an honorary Oscar for sure. He won some Emmys and stuff like that. Like, very, very talented, and lived to be 88. Like, people dream to live that long, and they dream to do something that they love that much. So with all that, rest in peace to Donald Sutherland, man. Thank you so much for all the artistry and showing us what a talented actor looks like, man. All right, speaking of acting, let's keep it pushing over to House of the Dragon. House of the Dragon star Olivia Cooke disagreed with Ryan Condal cutting messy as fuck sex scene. Olivia Cooke just revealed that she filmed an animalistic sex scene for season 2 of House of the Dragon, but co-creator Ryan Condal decided to cut the sequence. Mark Cassidy from Comic Book Movie writes, HBO Game of Thrones prequel series House of the Dragon returned for its 2nd season this week, and the premiere revealed that Queen Alicent Hightower, played by Olivia Cooke, and Lord Commander of the Kingsguard Sir Criston Cole, played by Fabian Frankel, had begun to engage in an illicit affair. We see a couple of sex scenes involving these characters over the course of that first episode, but Cooke has now revealed that a far more graphic and animalistic sequence ended up being cut by co-creator Ryan Condal because he felt it didn't advance the story or develop the characters in a meaningful way. It was messy as fuck. It wasn't beautiful, and that was really fun to do, Cooke tells Elle magazine. I think Ryan said we weren't learning any more about the characters, which I disagree with slightly, but it's okay, it's his show. Cooke goes on to reveal that she worked closely with the show's intimacy coordinator, Vanessa Kofi, but went in thinking she was going to be required to film more nude sex scenes given Game of Thrones' reputation. Thought it'd be way more, so I'm relieved that when it has been used for me, it's showing Alicent being pleasured, which is amazing and doesn't feel gratuitous, she said. Feels like we're telling a story. So, all that being said, man, look, I remember when Game of Thrones first came out, one of the big things that drew me in was definitely the sex scenes. That was, it reminds me of an old school fucking statement my dad used to say all the time about dating. He would say that if a woman is pretty, you got to be pretty to play, but you have to be smart to stay. So in that case, the sex, how this could apply, the sex scenes are some of the things that brought me into Game of Thrones. Who doesn't want to see a dope ass sex scene? But then on top of that, it was the dialogue, it was the character development, it was the plot and the storyline that kept you hooked. And so that is the thing that I think is true about House of the Dragon that brings you in. It doesn't mean you don't want the sex scenes. It doesn't mean you don't want that stuff. And especially if you do something like that, and as an actor, you know, it sounds like, you know, working with the intimacy coordinator, they did a lot of really fun, cool stuff. And then, you know, done properly, could be incredible to watch. This shit's hot. What are you gonna say? But I get it. If the showrunner, if the co-creator doesn't feel, you know, that it necessarily serves the story, it'll be on, you know, if Blu-ray still exists, it'll be on the, you know, Blu-ray extra deleted scenes. So there you go. But what do you think, man? Did you want to see this animalistic scene, animalistic sex scene from House of the Dragon? Or are you cool with it? Like, there that survey came out that Gen Z doesn't really fuck with sex scenes until Challengers came out. Then all of a sudden they realized, you know, they have hormones. Do you feel the same way? Did you not want to see the sex scene? Did you want to see it? Let me know in the comments. Our last story is one that's a little close to my heart, and I am a little concerned, I'll be honest with you, just based off of how more recent iterations of stuff like this have gone. But Spaceballs. Josh Gad is set to star in a sequel to the Mel Brooks beloved 80s Star Wars spoof. We have been hearing about a potential sequel to Mel Brooks' Spaceballs for many years, and it's now been confirmed that Josh Gad is set to star in a follow-up to the beloved Star Wars spoof. Mark Cassidy writes, "May the Schwartz be with you. We've been hearing rumors of a potential Spaceballs sequel for many years, and it's now been confirmed that a follow-up to Mel Brooks' 80s Star Wars spoof is officially in the works. The movie is in development at Amazon MGM Studios with Josh Gad from Beauty and the Beast, Frozen, and Wolf Like Me fame, set to star and produce alongside Brooks. Josh Greenbaum will direct the film from a screenplay by Benji Samit, Dan Hernandez, and Gad himself. Plot details are still under wraps, but the original movie was a full-on farce following the general plot of Star Wars A New Hope, while also making fun of other space set or sci-fi properties such as Star Trek, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Planet of the Apes, and Alien.
I am your father's brother's nephew's cousin's former roommate.
What's that make us?
Absolutely nothing.
Star Wars starred Bill Pullman as Lone Star, the late John Candy as Barf, Daphne Zuniga as Princess Vespa, Rick Moranis as Lord Dark Helmet, and Brooks in a dual role as President Scroob and Yogurt. We have no idea if any of these actors will reprise their roles or who Gad is set to play. Moranis revealed that he pitched a sequel to Brooks back in 2013 with the proposed title Spaceballs 3, The Search for Spaceballs 2. Nothing ever came of it, but in 2015, Brooks said that he would be interested in releasing a new movie after the next Star Wars film and hoped that Moranis would reprise his role. Legendary filmmaker said he'd like this version of the movie to be called Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money, which if you have seen the movie, it is a joke off of that. Spaceballs received mixed reviews upon release. It sits at 52% on Rotten Tomatoes, entirely too fucking low, but it has developed a loyal following over the years. Gad responded to the news via Instagram post shortly after it broke. The phone has been exploding as hard as it did today. We are all very excited. Early days still, but working with the legendary Mel frickin' Brooks to make something worthy of this franchise and his legacy has been a dream come true. I worship at the altar of all things Brooks, and we are doing everything in our power alongside Bell to make sure you get what you've been waiting 37 long years for. Everything. Am I excited? Sure. Where I'm concerned is History of the World Part 2, in my opinion, was not that great. I didn't really love it. I know some people did. It just wasn't for me. And so what worries me, Spaceballs is up there in my top 10 films, man. It was originally, the spot that Spaceballs took was originally held by Robin Hood Men in Tights because that was the very first Mel Brooks movie I ever saw, and I still love that film dearly too. But when I eventually saw Spaceballs, especially being such a diehard Star Wars fan that as I was up until probably around when the new trilogy came out, and a lot of that just has to do with the fact that like it felt very nostalgia bait, the whole member berries mentality that South Park has had. But then beyond that, the Star Wars fans have just gotten so fucking annoying and gross, and all of that is about how they talk about everything's well. I'm over it, and so I keep my Star Wars fandom to myself. I still play the video games, I'll still watch stuff here and there. I love Mandalorian, things like that, but I keep it to myself. That's why you haven't ever seen me really talk Star Wars like that. I know a shit ton, but I just am not as much as like my boy Ace or my girl Laura, or any of the cats that did the Star Wars division of Schmodown. That shit is fucking insane. But I do know a decent amount because of how much I love it. I just keep it to myself. And so I say all that to say, you're taking something that genuinely, in my opinion, was top tier, not a perfect movie, but pretty damn close. And I worry losing all sorts of elements. Like you also had Michael, from Police Academy, that has like a really great stuff about like lots of beeps, lots of sweeps, and lots of creeps. The what, the beeps, the creeps, and the sweeps. Like it's always lost. Like that, or like, did you find anything? No, sir. How about you? No, sir. How about y'all? Man, we ain't found shit. Like just quotables upon quotables. So I'm just concerned that it's going to potentially taint the legacy. But what do you think? Are you excited about Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money, or could you go without this? Let me know in the comments. And with that, man, that is going to be the show. So once again, if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, man. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this show, and the notification bell so you know when more stuff pops off. I've got a lot of other stuff coming out. I already did my instant reaction to The Boys Season 4, Episode 4. As a lot of you know, I've been dealing with a lot of family health and death and all sorts of stuff recently, so I'm a little behind on my full-on non-spoiler reviews for The Boys and everything else like that. But a lot of that's coming. I'm very grateful that today, Friday, as you're watching this, I actually have the day off from all my day jobs. So I'll be able to put a lot of work in and hopefully get a lot of catch up going. Just so you know ahead of time, next week I will be on vacation starting next Friday. So you'll the last video you get on Friday, I'm going to probably be a little bit late on House of the Dragon. I'm going to try and do an instant reaction. It's going to be probably pretty rough because I will be with just my phone where I'm at. So we'll see about that, as well as The Bear is about to come out. And so the way I'm going to do The Bear, 10 episodes, it's about 5 hours of content I got to try and get into. I'm going to split it up into a part 1 and a part 2. And that's essentially how I'm going to cover it, just kind of the storylines that are going through episodes 1 through 5, and then episodes 6 through 10, and, you know, just kind of give that whole thing. And then other than that, the other stuff that I've been doing is I have been doing these rewatches of the Fox Marvel universe, or the Marvel Fox universe. I call it the MFU. But either way, those videos should start coming out soon as well, kind of doing a rewatch recap of those as we get ready for Deadpool and Wolverine. So a lot of great content for you. So please, again, subscribe here. Go check me out on all the other social platforms, man, and come back. I will keep putting out good stuff for you because I appreciate y'all rocking with me. So with that, I'm gonna get out of here. Y'all have a good rest of your day. I will see you on the flip, man.